Hello, everyone out there in Tampa Bay and beyond. This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sports Podcast. I am here tonight to cover the Rowdies. As you can see, there is no one next to me doing some shadow boxing. That is the usual intro for Carlos, but instead we are joined by the producer, Eureka, who is usually behind the scenes. He is stepping up to the front lines today because Carlos is off in Ecuador enjoying paradise, as I assume Ecuador is probably like. So, Eureka, how are you doing this evening?
I am great, James. I am the used substitute tonight, so I'm down. And with those guys, plans are in the works. They're recording. They're going good. Shout out to unused substitutes. This community needs you. We love you, and obviously we're their biggest fans. So can't wait for Dan Indanino. We pulled him back from retirement 83 times now. So I'm stoked for that. I'm stoked for finally a home game, James. Finally, our road warriors are returning home. Yep. So what's not to love about that?
Exactly. That is actually the big news, Eureka. Obviously, there is something to talk about from this past weekend. In all honesty, I think you and I would prefer to skip over it if we could, especially because as this is RBLR Rowdies hype, we don't need anything bringing us down. But because it is still RBLR Rowdies, we are going to do at least a little bit of review of the game this past weekend, whether or not we actually would prefer to. So we'll do that, but trust me, the big focus of this evening is going to be on the upcoming game that's coming up on Saturday, as Eureka said, where the Rowdies finally come home and play at Al Lang Stadium again. The first time in 2025, the first time in actually, 6-7 months, something like that. So yeah, folks, that is the cool thing that we've got coming up here. Let's just hop into it, Eureka. Let's start where we need to, unfortunately. This past weekend, the Rowdies lost to Charleston 2-1. It was not the prettiest game in a lot of respects, and we're going to get into that as much or as little as possible here. But as I said, we will return to do our preview later on, so stick around for that at least. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube or subscribe on any major podcast platform. And please, of course, follow us on all social medias, whichever ones you use, at RBLR Sports. Eureka, I'll turn it over to you to get us started on the quick recap here with, of course, naturally, the starting 11.
Yeah, let's talk about the 11. It was a 3-4-3, same as the last game, with Campisi and net, with Moon, Wyke, and it was Moon, Wyke, Caste, Bodley, McPherson, Hilton, Danny Crisostomo, Bassett, Woobens up top with Arteaga. So when you look at that, it is unchanged from the win, right? So that's fine. But what were your thoughts? I mean, did you think after Miami and after only beating Miami, like we didn't wipe the floor with them the way we thought, did you think there needed to be a little bit of changes, or were you fine rolling out the same 3-4-3 with the same 11? Don't fix it if it ain't broken.
I guess that was kind of my idea going in. I think that I really liked Nick Moon from the right back spot. And it was unfortunate. Obviously, anybody who watched the game knows that he only got to play about 7 or 8 minutes. He went out for Pacific Nyangabire due to an injury. We don't know the extent of that injury at this time. We're recording Tuesday, April 8th. So maybe it will be known tomorrow. And if so, then, obviously, we should have recorded another day later. But either way, we will find out soon enough how long it'll be for Nick Moon. As I said, I think that he did really well, and Cammy McPherson showed that he could do a lot of different things from his position, which was a more roaming position against Miami. I think that the goal was to get him on the field along with Lewis Hilton, Danny Crisostomo, who's been one of our best players so far, and Ollie Bassett. Unfortunately, though, I wouldn't say that this was the best iteration of that. To get into the rest of the quick recap here, Cal Jennings scored a penalty, and Charleston went up 2-0 before we could score even an equalizer. It could have been 3-1 by the end of the game, but luckily one of those was called back for offside. So we will get into the second half as well. I think the second half has a lot more talking points about how the Rowdies played.
Okay.
But the first half, Eureka, it's all one talking point. So we're going to get to that too. Let me do one more quick thing, which is the standings update. We have dropped to 9th in the East, while the Battery, with their win, jumped up to 6th place. In the Eastern Conference, it is actually led, in fact, the entire league at this point, due to goal differential, is led by Loudoun United with 12 points from their first 5 games. They are 1 point ahead of Louisville City even at this time. Remember, Loudoun United, that is going to come in, well, that is going to be important later. I don't know if it'll come in handy, but it will be important later.
I like it.
Have 12 points from their 5 games. Like I said, the goal differential gives Loudoun the overall lead for the league. And Monterey Bay are second in the West with 10 points. So, yes, Eureka, let's jump into the first half here. Like I said, it was one giant talking point that I think really got everybody's focus.
Yeah.
To preface this talking point, I wanted to point out that the player who gave up the penalty, which is naturally where we're going with this, the player who gave up the penalty was Blake Bodley. Blake Bodley also conceded a penalty against Miami FC 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, that was a call that was given despite what I thought was an incredibly weak foul. If you're going to call that a foul, I don't know. Everything is a foul out there. I had a lot of problems with the refereeing performance in that particular game, and the penalty was chief among them. Luckily, at the time, Miami did not have the wherewithal, the gumption, whatever word, I guess, to put that one in the back of the net. Charleston, on the other hand, because they had Cal Jennings, who was both a very good striker in the USL, and as we know, any former Rowdy playing the Rowdies has a higher likelihood of scoring, so he put it in the back of the net. And that was despite one more thing, which was Nico Campisi's Argentine antics. I guess that this is common to at least Argentinian goalkeepers. I don't know if it's across the whole sport there, but there is a lot of smack talk going around. And while he did guess correctly and he dove the right way for Cal Jennings, it still was such a good strike from Cal that he could not save it. Into the side net it went, and they were up 1-0 before halftime. So, Eureka, let's focus on the thing that drove all the attention in the first half, because as much as we could talk about other things, there's really no point in it based on the online activity. The penalty was everything. Was it for you a penalty? Because I am still personally just... I'm personally up in the air. I really think if it was a foul, it was extremely weak. But the angles that we received, I guess, from USL, the broadcast was not helpful enough for me. So I'll ask you.
Yeah, there's a lot of strings to pull on that one. First, I would say it was it a soft call? Maybe. I think not to rationalize it or say, here's why it was so great, but beforehand in the first, we're in like the 30th something minute, right? So or we're above 45. So in that half an hour beforehand, there were some plays that were a little chippy, no yellows, but it was starting to get a little more heated, and I think at some point, the ref's just going to want to, take control of the match in one way. But in terms of the play itself, look, if you're the backer, how about let's not let a streaking attacker get behind you on the line to make you have to make a recovery in such a way.
I think that's honestly one of the bigger points out of this entire play.
Yeah, so he put himself in a position, and again, this isn't the first time he's been in this specific position. And soft call or not, you're in the position. You're gonna, you might get away with a couple of them, but you're gonna get called, and he got called. But the veracity of which he was just so like, he walked over to the other linesman and was like, "Are you kidding me? I didn't even touch." He mouthed, "I didn't even touch him." Which, like, again, it was too close to call one way or the other. It's not like they have, smoking gun evidence of him like onto the back of his heel or anything like that. But the person running either was clumsy at the exact right time or did in fact feel something and dove or took a tumble, earned the penalty. That's football. It happens. It's maybe a little gamesmanship, maybe an out of position ref, maybe you took advantage of that. But the fact that Bodley had a guy, a foot in front of him to have to make a recovery, because what was he going to do? He wasn't going to get the ball. He wasn't going to get in front of him to impede his path. At this point, we had a person in their final third, clear and ready to go. So, and it wasn't the first or only time that happened in this game, or even up to that point. It was, 15 minutes or so before that, Charleston was cutting through the back line. It wasn't just bodily, Castellanos, unfortunately, wasn't able to stop people running through the back line. Charleston was getting great through balls. So up to that point, the defense has been penetrated many times. Thankfully, nothing too serious. They hit the post one time. They skied one another way. They went wide with another shot. Campisi made a couple saves on target, but you're getting penetrated, and it's just unfortunately a position you shouldn't have been in the first place to even make it where there was a soft penalty. But then we get to the penalty itself, and Campisi, Carlos, our intrepid reporter, made it apparent in our chat that I guess Campisi's 1 for 2 on these. He did this against Miami. This is part and parcel of what he's going to do. Try to get in your head, try to make you go one way. Because up to that point, Cal Jennings had only kicked to his right. That's something they said on the broadcast, is that Cal Jennings 100% of the time he kicks it one way. And I don't know if Campisi knew that. I don't know if Campisi had the scouting report on Cal Jennings and PKs enough to say, or if he just you pick one way, you pick left or right, and he picked, hey, kick it to my right, and he's yelling. And Charleston Battery released that probably viral video at this point.
This is where most of the online chatter ultimately actually came from.
In the moment, you're like, why are they talking? So I was at the Sun game, unfortunately, not being able to watch the Rowdies at the same time. Thanks, USL, for scheduling 2 games in the same market at the same time. But so we're following, me and one of the photographers at the game. We're following along, getting updates on what had happened, and we just saw the broadcast of the PK, and then you see Cal Jennings going up and he's pointing like, yeah. And then Campisi's now they're jaw jacking each other. They're kind of needed to be separated by the referees and the players, and it's like something else to say. And another player comes up and he's pointing, and I'm like, what are they pointing? It was all confusing until you see the unedited clip from the Charleston Battery where it's clear as day with subtitles. Campisi's like, hit it right here. Hey, Aki, he's saying right here, buddy. So talk smack, get clapped. And that's unfortunately what happened. Is Cal Jennings is a dangerous man, and he put it somewhere he couldn't get to. It's not, he played it well. He dove. He thought he had him. He thought he had the kick. Maybe a little bit of a hesitation, but nothing too crazy. Campisi tried, but wasn't good enough, and earned all the smack talk, and earned all the vitriol, and earned all of the laughing and humiliation that video has provided. Not good, and another on a long list of Campisi L's this year so far.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put that, actually, based off of the prior mistakes that we have discussed previously on RBLR Rowdies. So we don't need to rehash those at the moment. He did guess correctly, but obviously not well enough, because it's very hard to make a save when somebody literally puts it in the side netting. I don't know. You have to be like 6'6", 6'8" for that. But regardless, that was how that particular play went. And yeah, so Blake Bodley with 2 conceded penalties. Both, it should be noted, from a position of a left back as opposed to a left wing back. I don't know if that's something that is problematic or not. We need to see, I guess, with a little bit more data. It's really hard to say after 2 games. It truly is.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see exactly how the Rowdies line up this upcoming weekend. When we do the preview, we'll talk about that. But it will obviously give us a lot of information based on what the actual coaching staff believe from the input that they have received now that they have the 4 games to review all video footage and everything. But that was the big moment in the first half. It ate up everything online because of this video from Charleston, and that is not always a good look for the green and gold, I'll say. Moving on to the second half, we need to return to the defensive shape. And this goes back to, again, we were in a back 4 for most of this game, had Blake Bodley as a left back, not a left wing back. So this is something that maybe he's a little bit out of position for in the first half. But in the second half, Aaron Guillen comes on, and I think that he plays a little bit deeper, and he plays a little bit less as a left back, but still, I think we keep with relatively 4 at the back. Thomas Van Keeziel also comes on and plays as a right back so that Pacific Nyongabire can move up. That was a little bit deeper into the second half, but all of these things occurred that changed our shape just here and there a little bit. And unfortunately, I think that, Eureka, the biggest problem for me was the defensive shape again. MD Myers came on. It was his first game back from an injury. I wasn't aware that he was out due to an injury.
What a game from him, man.
Yeah, he actually did extremely well. He had 3 different chances in the second half, which is just 45 minutes, of course. He put 2 of those in the back of the net. Luckily, only 1 counted because the other was called offside. The first one, he just got around Robert Castellanos relatively easily. And I also think that blame is to be shared with the midfield, who allowed the pass to be played. I think if it was from Juan Torres, but
yes,
regardless,
phenomenal,
from Juan Torres. So there was blame to be shared from whoever was supposed to be marking Torres, and then to Robert Castellanos as well. So cut to the second chance in between MD Myers. The ball is over on the left side. Thomas Van Keeziel is more of the right back, and he shields his man. He does a good enough job that the winger has to drop the ball. He drops the ball to the left back, who is wide open in space. Pacific Nyongabire was not close enough to shut him down, and the ball comes in. But this is where the real problem is. MD Myers is wide open, almost at the top of the 6-yard box, in between Robert Castellanos and Aaron Guillen, and he heads the ball home. He's not going to miss twice from, effectively, again, the top of the 6-yard box. And that was extremely disappointing. I'm sure that they will be hearing a lot from the coaching staff about that particular play. I don't know exactly how it broke down the way that it did, but between Aaron Guillen and Robert Castellanos, it did indeed break down. The third play, I think, again, this was one that was called offside, so fair enough. It came down the right side again, so this was Nanan Husu, the right back for Charleston, who set up the goal and actually scored the penalty for, earned the penalty for Charleston that Cal Jennings scored. So he had a fantastic game. He is a player that I actually would not have minded seeing in green and gold as opposed to black and gold, but here we are. And Husu played the ball across the 6-yard box where MD Myers knocked home, but it was already from an offside position, so it did not count. I think the goal that we scored was nice enough, but it was obviously consolation. It really didn't come to anything because we were already down 2-0 and we did not score an equalizer. So, Eureka, I've been talking a while about this positioning problem with the defenders in the second half. I will turn it over to you now for your take on that.
I mean, there's nothing more to really add other than, I mean, it's just, again, from the first half, we're letting sketchy through balls get through the back line, and another guy gets beyond for one. You had mentioned 3 plays. I think the first one is Castellanos, who this shot was on net. The timing beat Campete. Well, I guess it was not on net technically, but it was a great shot, a great through ball that gets past the line. Beats Campisi timing wise, but it just skims the post and goes wide. But before, I mean, but that was probably the third or fourth either one-on-one attempt or a through ball that got to a really dangerous position that this defense just let through. The little lob, the little lob by that, I mean, it's just a little chip shot that gets to Myers, and again, I don't like it. You please tell me, like, if this is worth its weight in trying to do it. But when there's a ball that comes through and you get beat and you decide to hold your hand up for offsides instead of continuing to play and mark the man, that's, to me, what happened on the header. Is that we unfortunately have a center back that's raising his hand instead of playing the player, and the ball comes in and the guy has a free header. Boom, there you go. And then, oh wait, we didn't get the call. Doesn't matter. The scoreboard now has another notch in it. And at this point now they scored 60 seconds later, but whatever. It just was too little, too late all game. Unfortunately, just did not. The offense was one way. I'm sure we'll get into all that, but the defense, which has been really good, like the defense has been holding on, if not, because in the first bunch of games, it was a 1-0 losses with a few mistakes that were untimely and massive. But on the whole, there weren't a lot of holes in the defense. There weren't a lot of Swiss cheese through balls. There weren't. This game just felt different. It felt like, and Charleston was not that hot coming into this game. To be honest with you, their form was not that great. And so this, to us, I mean, I thought we all thought we had a chance. We didn't pick wins for everything, but we definitely picked 1-goal differences. You know, we didn't think this was going to be a blowout by either team, because both teams were coming into it on shaky ground, and who knows what happens. Both teams have phenomenal talent. We're just not putting it together, and unfortunately, in this particular demonstration, the defense was to blame for the most part, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that Wubens Passius had a relatively good game, and obviously he did get the goal.
Yeah.
That was good. Manuel Arteaga also got a couple of good shots off, but they were not. I think they were not mostly on target was the problem. So you have to, I guess, wonder if any of those shots go in, is the game different? But regardless, they didn't, and we're where we are now, which is that it was a very poor defensive performance. As you said, Eureka, actually, that was not something that we had seen previously. So it's not the best to be going into the home game with, but that's the situation we are in. Is there anything else you want to bring up for the review portion?
No, there's a lot of questions that we need to get answered for the next game, and that's mostly where we'll get to. So this could be, again, not trying to rationalize it, but, you know, it's a long trek, 4 games in 5 weeks with no home game, you know, other than we played, University of Tampa or something like that in one of the off weeks. But, yeah, there's not a lot of home cooking, a lot of plane rides and buses that wear and tear. We've had players on this very podcast who bring that up, that it's a tough slog, and thankfully that slog is over. We'll see if we can turn a page, literally sleep in our own beds, literally get some home cooking, and maybe things will be completely different. So I'm hoping that this is just a lot of that fatigue, a lot of that, like, just it's uncharacteristic. Even if the results aren't coming, this was an uncharacteristically down defensive performance for this club with this talent.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good summary. And as you said, though, luckily the away trips are gone for a while, other than, we will note, the U.S. Open Cup, which is next week, which is why next week we will have to record on Monday, obviously, because there is a game on Wednesday. But, of course, that is only against FC Naples, roughly 3-4 hours away. You can take a bus there. Probably they will.
That's right.
It is not something that you have to get on a plane for. So I think that we can count that one as a relatively home game, and there should be, hopefully, some number of Rowdies fans.
We should travel well for that, I hope.
Yeah. We will talk a little bit more about that one later on, just to make sure everybody knows all the details. But I wanted to highlight that here, because we are talking about how the Rowdies should have many more home games coming up in at least this upcoming month. So keep that in mind. Let's do our man of the match, Eureka.
Yep.
I will just go with mine, and that is Thomas Van Kayaziel. Thomas Van Kayaziel is my selection because he came on at halftime, so he was not involved in any of the bad play of the first half. But at the same time, we talked mostly about the bad play in the second half. He mostly was actually relatively absolved from that. Even in the second goal, he did his job. He pushed his man back. It was the ball that came in from the left back of Charleston. So Thomas Van Kayaziel did well enough defensively, and he worked his butt off to get the assist for Ruben's Passie's goal. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Thomas Van Kaziel for his hard work, at least trying to shore up a defense that wasn't doing all that well in this particular game. And I think that he did well enough in my estimation. Eureka, who was your man of the match?
Yeah, similar story. I'm going with Pacific Nyongaburi. Wazi was awesome. Wazi was unfortunately had to come in 8 minutes into into it because of an injury to Moon. But I don't know. I mean, they think he's better than Nick Moon, and so they have what a talent that you have on your bench in Pacific Nyongaburi. And he immediately, I think, to me, showed that they can play a lot of the offense through him. That I mean, he created a good chance for Woobens early that Woobens skied over the net immediately on one touch. But it was Wazi creating things on the wing. But Wazi's also a solid defender for being that wing side. Statistically, overall, it wasn't like the greatest game for him, but like where he's showing above and beyond. But the little things are what I look for. And he, to me, wasn't an issue defensively. He wasn't an issue offensively. He was one of the key components to keeping it a 0-0 game up until that PK. So from that point, the game kind of went haywire. But I liked Wazi. I thought he did really good. And I love watching him play football. So he's my man of the match.
There we go. All right. Well, Eureka, we have a preview to get to, but beforehand, I think that you often like to take this portion of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to say two things. First, and this will be short, to help us out, look, liking and subscribing is absolutely free. And wherever you're hearing this, if you're on YouTube or if you're on our live stream on Twitter or YouTube, please hit that like, hit that follow. But if you got a couple bucks in your pocket and you want to help us out, keep the lights on and keep the internet going, go to shop.rblrsports.com. And if you use promo code COYR, you're going to get 10% off your entire order. But James, we put out a video. I got to do a new edit to it and get it going, because what we really want to hype is this week we have a home game, James. We have a home game, and I am like ecstatic to say that we're trying to James and I are thinking behind the scenes about how do we help the community? How do we do this? And one of the things we came up with was basically for all of us diehards. If you're watching this show, if you're a diehard, you bleed green and gold, and I know you go to every game, so you're not the problem. But you could be the solution to bringing the next generation of Rowdies fans in the door by. We all have a friend that's never been to. They might not even like soccer at the moment because they haven't experienced the wonderful cathedral that is Al Lang Stadium. They haven't seen the green and gold. And they haven't seen the athleticism and the awesomeness and the smoke and the tifo and the chanting and the everything that every one of us provide inside of Al Lang. So, look, first, go get a new person that's never been to the game. 2. When you're in Al Lang with this person, take a selfie with that person and tag at RBLR Rowdies. It's right up in the corner there at RBLR Rowdies. And whether you're on Instagram, you're on Blue Sky, you're on Twitter, no matter where you're at RBLR Rowdies, take your selfie, tag us in it, and we're going to retweet it. We're going to get it out to all the thousands of people that follow us. So you get a little famous. The new friend gets to show up and see a brand new stadium. But James, everyone that does that, every time you do it, if you bring 5 friends and you take 5 pictures, you can get 5 entries to free tickets on Original Era Night. It's not Legends Night. It's Original Era Night on August 19th, I believe. I'm a little dyslexic, so the 9 and the 6, but I believe it's the 19th. When we're doing Original Era Night, which is so there's like 7 home games to do this. There's 7 times that you could bring someone new to a game. Now think about that. About 4,000 of us show up every week on average. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. But if the 1,000 or so people that are diehards just brought one person, now we're packing Al Lang, James, and that helps us. It helps the team. Obviously, we want Division One. We want to show that we're a Division One club. We want to show we're a Division One outlet. We can't just sit and wait. We can't just sit and wait for the football gods to come down and bestow us with a packed house. We have to pack Al Lang. The team is doing their hardest. They're putting a good product on the field, and we all love them. So let's give the boys all the ammunition. Let's make Al Lang a fortress, and you could do that by bringing a person. And if you do, you might get rewarded. There's going to be some free t-shirts. There's free tickets. There might be a third secret thing that we come up with. You never know. We're unpredictable, and I like that. So just bring somebody to Al Lang, guys. All right. I'm off my soapbox. But I'm hype. I know you're hype because you get me hype with Rowdy's hype. So I love it.
There we go, folks. And by the way, because this is RBL or Rowdy's Hype, I just want to give a quick shout out to Eureka, who came up with this scheme to get people to bring people to the game. This is supposed to be the hype show now. That's what 2025 is. That is how we are going to win our inevitable trophy in November or December, whenever that ultimately comes up. But that is how we are going to win it because we are so hype for this season. There we go. There's a little trophy for us. But this is how RBLR, this is what we came up with to do our little portion that might be able to continue to build the hype and get it going for all of the season. So I want to thank Eureka for coming up with this. I think it's actually a fantastic idea. But everybody, if you want free tickets, if you want free shirts, free merch, maybe this other third thing that we're still keeping secret, just hold on. Just keep that in mind. Find somebody who's never been to a game before. There are plenty of people out there, unfortunately, and you can get them and you can tell them, hey, if you get one ticket, you come to one game, I can get free tickets and we can go to more. How does that sound? Surely that's pretty good. That is how you build some hype for this season. So I think that RBLR is doing the slightest little bit that we can, the slightest little bit to help build the actual hype in the streets of Tampa Bay, the whole region for the Rowdies. So that's what we're trying to do. And I think that this is a really good way to do that. Now, let's move on with our hype because we are so hyped for the first home game this season, the first home game for the Tampa Bay Rowdies in 2025. Let's get into it. Saturday at 7:30, the Rowdies play first place, Loudoun United in their first home game of the season. They have been the best team in the whole league, ahead of San Antonio FC. With 4 wins and 1 loss on the season. They are also moving on in the Open Cup after they beat amateur side Virginia Dream, I believe a week or 2 ago now, probably 2 weeks ago. So our head-to-head history with this club is 8 wins for the Rowdies and 3 wins for them. Keep in mind, 2 of those came last season. So there is a little bit of revenge to be gained when we go up against Loudoun United. It shouldn't be that way, but they're already at the top of the table, so we might as well think of it. Let's move on to their starting 11 from the last couple of games. There have been moves here and there, so just keep in mind that we're trying to do our best to figure out exactly what the starting 11 will be coming up this weekend. Hugo Faru will probably be in net. Keegan Tingy at right back. Drew Skundrich and Pedro Santos were listed as the center backs with Kwame Awua as the left back. It was Jacob Erlinson and Tommy McCabe as the 2 central midfielders sitting behind the attacking midfielders, Ben Mines, Florian Valo, and Abdelatif Abukara, all behind Zach Ryan, the lone striker listed in their formation. Abdelatif Abukara leads the team with 4 goals, while Florian Valo has 4 assists. Abukara has 1 assist as well, and Riley Bedoys has 2 goals coming off the bench. Tommy McCabe is their biggest chance creator, and they have had 2 clean sheets out of their 5 games so far. Again, this Loudoun United team is no pushover. They have been in the past. Last season, they were a bogey team for us for whatever reason. That wasn't necessarily because they were great, but I think it actually has proven to be the case this season that they are doing extremely well. Whether or not they can maintain it, we'll see, but it is a lot fewer just 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. It is a couple of those, like Abukura, who is actually doing extremely well. But there are more players who are regular USL veterans at this point, at least players who have several years of USL play under their belt, even if it is just with Loudoun United.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of Rowdies fans are going to be familiar at least with the name of Florian Valot. We have played him with the New York Red Bulls. We have played him with Miami FC. So he has been a thorn in our side plenty of other times. And Zach Ryan up top is a very good player too. Keep that in mind because he has really done well for them, and he is central to everything that they try to create. Pedro Santos is the last player I wanted to highlight. Formerly with DC United, he has been mostly loaned to Loudoun United this year because of his age, but he was previously for several years a designated player in MLS. That means he has a lot of pedigree, even if he doesn't necessarily have the legs that he used to have when he was a designated player back in his MLS days. So all of this to say, again, this is actually a huge game. This is going to be a huge challenge for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We have just talked about all of the ways in which the Rowdies didn't look so great against Charleston compared to the game which they won against Miami and the prior two games, which were losses, but were weak losses, let's say. So there's a lot riding on this. And it's not just because it's a home game, but also, Eureka, it is because it's a home game. This is our first home game. We have to win this one. We have to go out there. We have to make a real statement here. Loudoun United, top of the league. What do we care? We don't care. We're going to win this game. That's how I feel. This is a hype match. Get ready for it. Eureka, what else we got for Loudoun?
So, I mean, Loudoun, 100%. If you dig into their analytics, like I like to do, they are. I won't piece by piece do it. You did a wonderful job laying those things out. They have they're 8 or 9 deep in terms of like plus quality players, playing in form right now. If I'm on the Rowdy side though, I kind of look at some of their results and I go, when they played Louisville City, who sits 1 point behind them, they lost 2-0. And the last USL teams that they beat were Hartford, who is a -6 goal differential. And you have Rhode Island, who are not so hot to start this season. So maybe they're beating up on some mid to bottom tier teams in the East. You know, maybe that's inflating their stats, inflating their ego, inflating their power as they come into Ao Lang, which the Rowdies, other than the last performance that they put together, have been a solid defensive unit who even after the performance they had, where they gave up almost 1.6 XG, they're still under 1 goal XG in the season, on average. So we're looking at a tough defensive unit in the Rowdies that can, I think, put the brakes on Loudoun a little bit, especially if we are the mid to top level team we think we are, the playoff level team we think we are. Maybe that evens out. Maybe we'll see Loudoun not be able to do so much. But again, the home cooking, getting off the road, I think you're going to see a different Rowdies team. I mean, it just has to. If we have a really hard conversation to have if this isn't a spirited performance from the Rowdies. What else do you need? Home opener against a team that I think, looking at the numbers, I think they're good. They've earned every point they've gotten, but is the gulf that wide between the Rowdies and Loudoun United? We'll see. We'll see for 90 minutes. But because all the questions on my end are, what changes are we making, if any?
Exactly.
What are we doing? What is Robbie Nielsen doing? Because it is not working right now. And the vibes are very low in the fan base right now. Especially the more diehard among us. We're waiting for something to change, because there are more than just 1 or 2 players that are making mistakes. But then again, what do you do? You have great depth in this club. So we start looking at Why are some of the players on the bench? Why aren't they playing? I don't know. Because I don't know if it's a tactic thing. I don't know if you can change formation. I don't know if you change players. I don't know if you're giving more time to some players that haven't gotten a lot of time so far. What are some of the questions you are having about what the Rowdies are doing? Because I have a number of them, and I don't know where to begin on them. So I would say, what are some questions you had and changes you might want to see?
Well, the formation is the first thing that comes to mind
Okay.
naturally. We have had four at the back for the last two games. One game it worked, one game it didn't. Both of them were questionable in moments, again, with the shape of the two penalty concessions and then the
Yeah.
shape, especially in the second half against Charleston. So we need to keep that in mind. But if the goal of having this 4-3-3 is to allow Cammy McPherson, Lewis Hilton, Danny Crisostomo, and Ollie Bassett to be on the field at the same time,
Yeah.
where they can combine with Woobs and Manuel Arteaga up top,
Yeah.
then is that the way that we actually need to move forward? Maybe it isn't. Maybe we need to think about putting some other players in different positions. Maybe we need to see if any of those players, if we want to keep them on the field, are better in a different position. So those
James,
are all things that
who-
stand out to me immediately.
Who's your four? Who's the four in the back because Bodley, Casti, Wyke, and who was making the fourth up of that back line?
Nick Moon, the right back,
You're
and then
putting Moon
Pacific came on, yeah.
Right, because this is what I'm saying is like, okay, maybe a change, and I don't know his fit level, but you have Forrest Lasso sitting on the bench, and if they're suiting him up and they're putting him in the 18, at what point? I mean, he hasn't come on, and again, I don't know his fitness level, but even Van Kazel can play on the back line a little bit, but I mean, you want him. They played him more as a midfielder, but I mean, I think that's if you're gonna commit to a back four. I don't know if Nick Moon. I mean, like Bodley is why Bodley over Aaron Guillen is a choice that they've made. Not that Guillen had the greatest season last year. We all had we had criticism and questions about what his form was going to look like this year, but he hasn't even getting opportunities other than in the last game he came in on the late side. But you've got defensive minded people on the bench that unfortunately it's looking like we need a defensive shakeup.
Yeah,
but are you really sacrificing quality because a number of these pieces, Nick Moon probably should be in my mind a little bit more up the pitch. He shouldn't be a back four. Bodily also could be going up. You might have to sacrifice a Cammy McPherson or maybe even Woobens, who is starting to come along, but it's been sort of an empty bucket for him. Although he's been doing better since he's on the pod, so the RBLR bump is still in effect. But that's I don't know if that's the holdup, is that you're putting this together, and yes, you are trying to make sure that you're getting Bassett and Cammy and Crisostomo and Moon, but it's kind of oops all midfielders at this point, and you're playing a guy maybe out of position by putting Moon deeper in the line, where you also have Wyke, who he's transitioning now in a more of a full year on the back line. So it's good to, it's like we've always been very proud of the depth and the versatility of the players of the Rowdies, because of salary cap. Well, not a real salary cap, but because of salary constraints, we can't just go out and get just the best striker and the best defender and the best midfielder. You kind of have to get guys because of the travel and the longevity of the season. You have to get guys that can play in different roles if needed because of injuries or just different play styles or different opponents that you play. And that's been a great thing. But now we're sort of sitting here going, when we're plateauing, when we're not getting results, those players can move in different pieces, but we haven't seen a lot of the reconfiguration. I'm not saying you need to break things completely, but questionable. I mean, you kind of question it. You kind of give the the benefit of the doubt to say, okay, yeah, let's try Moon in a back four. But at some point, where's the, and if it's a downhill slope, unfortunately, in performance, at what point do we just kind of stick to a tried and true, unless there's a fitness concern that I don't know about, but they're suiting these players up. Can they play? And if not, why aren't we seeing changes or signings or other things? So.
Yeah, Forrest Lasso sitting on the bench the last couple of games. I do know that they were trying to have him come back slowly, which means
100%.
avoiding the pitches at places like, let's say, Tulsa, let's say Las Vegas, let's say Miami FC. But yeah, Charleston might have been an interesting game for him to get his first appearance this season. So we'll see if he does get off the bench for this one coming up here. And the biggest thing for me is whether or not they continue with the formation that we've seen. That is my biggest question, just like probably most people. But Eureka, we still need to be hyped for this game because it is a huge match and a huge challenge, just like I said.
Yes.
Loudoun United, top of the table, top of the league, and they are coming to Al Lang for our first home game this season. Okay. So let's get into the predictions for this one. Yes. I think that I know where we're all headed, but I'm going to let you start us off here and get the hype train rolling.
Well, let's start with Carlos, who he's in paradise. And I think we would all be in paradise if his prediction comes true, which is a 3-1 shell-lacking of Loudoun United. And he's the closest proximity to them, so I think he knows them the best by osmosis or some transitive property. So 3-1 to him. I'm still optimistic, maybe a little less optimistic than he is. I do not think we will keep a clean sheet. But I do think we will get 3 points and we will beat Loudoun United 2-1. Come on, you Rowdies.
And my prediction is possibly then a little bit more optimistic than that because it's RBLR Rowdies hype. Normally, I would be the downer and I would have my shoulders sunk and I would be like this while I'm talking and I would be whispering into the microphone. No, that's not what this game is. That's not what this team is. This is the hype season for the hype team in the USL Championship. If we are going to be a top-level professional team like everybody in Tampa Bay wants us to be, then that's what this show needs to elevate. And I am going to start here with a 2-0 win at Al Lang Stadium over Loudoun United, top of the table, to get our first good win, first solid win, a shutout on the season. That is what I'm looking for in this Saturday game.
I love it. I love it. We're all different degrees, but if any one of us get that correct, I think we'll be happy with the point.
We will all be happy with 3 points for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Let's move on now to our extra time segment. There are a couple little bits that we needed to hit on. First of all, wanted to say a big congratulations to Jan Ekra, former Rowdies player who has now stepped up as an assistant to the coaching staff. That means that he will be assisting Robbie Nielsen, and he's not coaching kids anymore, I would assume, because this is a full-time job, and it would be hard to fit all of that in. But he does have a little bit of coaching background, obviously, with that side, and he has been taking his coaching courses previously while he was a player. I know that from our prior conversation. So, Eureka, I guess the question is another RBLR bump?
It's just the truth. Yeah, how many times do you have to see it to know that it's true? Friend of the pod, Jan Ekra came on. We're the Jan Ekra fan club, James, and our goat came on to the show, and then later on, he's a professional coach now.
Can't be a coincidence.
What are you going to do? I do believe Florida Premier announced that he is head coaching some program.
Well, I guess.
But then again, I don't know.
There.
They kind of announced it at the same time, so I don't know if he's like doing double duty. I don't know if he's maybe. I don't. Maybe we'll have him on the show again, and he can explain this in detail. His commitments to the young lads of Premier and the young lads of the Tempe Rowdies. So
if anybody can do it, it's probably Jan Ekra. Everybody remembers how hard a worker he
course.
was when he was on the field. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Why are we even talking about?
why would we
this?
be surprised?
He might
We
pick up
would
a
not be.
third team to coach. You know,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
still have RBLR FC. He could coach. You know,
Yeah, if we need to get the five-a-side again together to go and get our butts kicked in
we might
the middle
score
of
2
July
goals next time. We might score 2 goals next time if we had Jan Ekra telling us what to do.
There we go. So Jan, we'll just hit you up for that later on. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Speaking of another player who has represented the Rowdies, and we hope will do so again in the future, Christian Ortiz scored his first professional goal ever in a 3-0 Open Cup win over Lexington for Columbus Crew 2. Fantastic for Christian Ortiz. I was honestly shocked by the result. I didn't think Columbus Crew 2 was going to beat Lexington because they had started relatively well, but not only did they win 3-0, Christian Ortiz was one of the players. So fantastic stuff for him. Good enough for Columbus Crew too, I guess. And
Yes.
I'm so psyched for Christian Ortiz. He is part of RBLR Rowdies hype. And I hope that he gets many more goals and he forces his way back onto this team coming at least in 2026, if not sooner. Speaking of the Open Cup, we mentioned this earlier, but the Rowdies have been drawn into their first game of the U.S. Open Cup in 2025. We will play FC Naples in Naples next Wednesday. If you are unaware of this, now you're aware of it. Make sure that you have your plans unless something is going on Wednesday. Somebody you know is giving birth. I want to see you in Naples in green and gold. Naples has a very good fan base, and they are trying their best to make themselves the big team in Florida, at least on the West Coast. That's not going to happen, folks. We are the big team in Florida. And we are the big team, certainly on the West Coast. We need to go down there and we need to show them up as fans as well as players, and we need to win that game. It's going to be difficult, not only because they have a good fan base, but also because actually Naples are doing extremely well in their first ever season. They have won their first 2 Open Cup games, including last week against somebody, but they previously played Sarasota Paradise, and then they moved on in their second game against an opponent that I am not currently remembering. I believe it was Foro FC, another amateur side. So Naples, though, is doing well also in USL League One, and they haven't lost a game in their inaugural professional season. Keep that in mind, folks. This is why we need to get down there. This is why, again, we need to get hyped. The Open Cup is a big deal. It is another chance at silverware. It is another chance for us to move on and build rivalries, if that's how you want to look at it, against Naples. Yeah. I don't like anybody down in Naples. Do you, Eureka?
Nope.
There we go. There we go. So let's get down there and let's show them what it means to be a Tampa Bay Rowdies fan. We will do that, I think, next Wednesday. Finally, the Rowdies put out their promotional schedule for all of the remaining nights this season. Yep. I'm not going to go through all of them because if I did, it would just be forgotten, and I understand that. So I'm going to do just a couple for this promotional schedule that they have put out. If you would like the rest, please, first of all, check out Rowdies' social media or their website. You can find it all there. Yep. April 12th, naturally, that is our home opener. Very important game. Everybody, bring somebody. You can win tickets from RBLR Sports, but make sure that you are there to cheer the team on this weekend. It is a huge game. We've already been over that one. April 19th is the weekend afterwards. It is a fireworks night. That's why I mixed up those two sounds. But it is a fireworks night on April 19th. After the game, they will be able to celebrate it. April 26th, one more very big game that I'm going to mention. That is the anniversary night. Again, this is the Rowdies' 50th anniversary season. We started, the team started in 1975. If you count the little break in between, we are, I guess, a 50-year anniversary with a couple of years in between that we don't necessarily have to mention all the time, but it is the 50th anniversary from 1975 when the team was originally founded. We are back and we are celebrating with anniversary night. Again, that is April 26th. If you would like the rest of the promo schedule, please check out anywhere you find Rowdies information on their website or social media. We will probably also put this up on our own stuff, so you can check out RBLR Sports. And with that, Eureka, I think I can transition us into saying thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Please follow RBLR Sports on all the social medias. Those are Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, wherever you are, we are too. at RBLR Sports. Eureka, have I missed anything?
Well, I am available at Eureka RBLR on all forms of social media, including Blue Ski. Where are you on all these social medias, Mr. James?
I don't think I'm on all of them at RBLR James K, but I am slowly making every single thing at RBLR James K because I sometimes forget that's not my name in a place, so I have to go and change it. Now it is at RBLR James K on most things, but I'm mostly on Twitter. So yeah, check us out if you would like to get at us. You can also use the hashtag AskRBLR if you have any questions. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. You can get the full experience on YouTube. Or if you just want to listen, no problem. We're on Spotify. We're on the iHeartRadio app. We're on Apple and Google Podcasts, wherever you are. Eureka, this is RBLR Rowdies Hype. First home game of the season. Come on, you Rowdies. Let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.